Good morning, everyone. I'm Glenda Mollet, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I'm also known as the Craft Room Stamper, and I'm here in my craft room stamping with you today. We're going to do a really pretty anniversary card that I was inspired by a card on Pinterest to make. Unfortunately, the picture on Pinterest didn't have the originating author's name on it, so I can't give proper credit, but I did tweak it and make it my own. First of all, a couple of things. I'm having a new occasions catalog Stamp-A-Stack next Wednesday, April the 3rd at 1 o'clock or 6:30. If you'd like to join us, these are the cards we're going to be making. This one, let's get my recipe out, uses the Wonderful Romance bundle and the same embossing folder that we're using today. It's called Lace. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. The flowers are colored with the Stampin' Blends. We're going to be making this tea together stamp or card that was I cased from Sue Moore. This one was cased from Amy Cohender's. And this uses the, what are they called? Tea time dies to cut out the teapot. Now these dies are in the Celebration catalog, but they're carrying over and they're going to be available in the new annual catalog to purchase. But right now you can get them free with a $120 order. The third card we're making is this beautiful butterfly one. I just can't put down this gorgeous foil. I know it's no longer available. I have a little bit left and I want to share it with my customers as long as I can. So we're going to use the Butterfly Beauty dies. And it's a double die set, so you cut the black one out and then you cut the foil one out and layer it together, and then in the background is the Subtles embossing folder. So those are the three cards. The price is $15 to make all three cards, and I just need to know by Sunday if you'd like to join us. Give me an email at gjmollet@shaw.ca and we'll make arrangements for you to join us. Okay, so you probably heard by now that Stampin' Up! Has come out with this awesome storage system. It's called Storage by Stampin' Up! There's 5 pieces. There's an ink pad and marker storage tray, a Stampin' Blend storage tray, an open cube, then there's 2 different toppers. This one has lip on it, so you can put your re-inkers in there and sit it on top of one of these 2. You put your re-inkers, or you can put some ribbon or embellishments, all sorts of stuff. You can also put on top of this open storage cube, and if you can see up here in the picture, there's the open one, there's the blends one, and here they have 2 of the ink pads on top of each other. There's the storage topper, and these ones just have the flat storage lid on them. Also, this has been a little bit overlooked by me and other people. Down here at the bottom, they put the gorgeous floral grid paper that we used to be able to get as demonstrators only. It's now going to be available on April the 1st for $16 in Canada while supplies last. So I suggest if you're looking for this, put an order in for this and this on the 1st of April before this gets sold out. These may go in back order, but I don't think so. I know in Stampin' Up! They probably got a huge whack of them in before they even said the promotion. Now, if you're unsure what you need, there's a configuration chart. Now, if I haven't already put these in my Facebook page, I will put a link to them so you can see. But on the back, it tells you how to stack them, and on the front it tells you how many of these. So you need to do your classic Stampin' pads. Now, just for a note, these hold the new pads, not the old pads. So these new thinner ones fit in there, but the old thicker ones are not going to fit because it's not big enough. So they're designed for the new ink pads. So you write down how many ink pads you have to store, and then divide the number by 5 because that's how many one box will hold, and it will help you figure out what you need to order. If you want more information on that, once again, my email. Okay, let's get on to the card. Enough chit-chat. I am going to do a bonus card too, because I decided that I needed to use the lovely lipstick foil from Celebration just one more time to show you how gorgeous it is. But the card we're going to make, you can use it with any of the foils. So this is an anniversary card. This is the one that was inspired by somebody on Pinterest, and I searched and searched and I could not find who originated it. So if it's yours, thank you so much, and let me know so I can give you proper credit. Okay, so here's the recipe. Thick Whisper White, 8.5 by 5.5 for the base. Scored at 4 1/4 and folded in half. Whisper White, 5 1/4 by 4, and you need 2 pieces for the front and 1 piece for the inside. And you need a piece that is 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. Berry Burst, 5 1/4 by 2 5/8, and a 1 1/4 by 2 1/2 for the inside, and I'll show you the inside in a sec. Sparkle Glimmer Paper. This background one is the sparkle one, and you need a piece 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. And then these little flowery things are done in the rose glimmer paper, which is very underused by myself in my craft room, and I'm trying to use it more and more. That and the black foil, I completely forgot we even had them. So I've reintroduced them into my cards. You need a piece of Mossy Meadow 1 by 3, another piece of Whisper White 1 1/2 by 3 for the sentiments. Now the tools we're going to use, so let me put this down here. We're going to use the lovely flower dies. So that's this set, and we're going to use these 2 dies from that set. Now these are available in the occasions catalog. So I'll show you where all that is once I go through what we're using. The Delicate Lace Edgelets dies, there's 3 of them, and we're going to use this one. The Be Mine Stitch dies, and these are the ones with all the hearts, and we're going to use these 2. The Lace Embossing Folder, which is the one I told you that we're going to use on this card next Wednesday. Let me see if I can tilt it a bit. Look at that. The detail in this embossing folder is amazing. So the strip in the middle has that on it. And the Well Written dies. And this is a whole set of 24. It's not only words, and I'll show you what the words are in a sec because I have them all cut out. So it's not only words, but there's flowers and a little bird and a butterfly and an exclamation mark. Yeah, awesome set. The Round Tab Punch, and we're going to do the edges of our sentiment using the Round Tab Punch. And Berry Burst Ribbon, and my super duper bow tire that my darling husband made for me, and I'm going to actually tie the bow while showing you how to do that. And then we're going to use the Banners for You stamp set, and we're going to use this anniversary, and you see how it's curved. It's curved so that you can fit it into these frames. Now if you turn this one over, there's the curve of the anniversary. So we're going to use that word, and I'll show you how to straighten it out and make it useful. And we're going to use the Meant to Be stamp set inside. So this one. Isn't that a gorgeous heart? Look at the filigree on these things. Oh, so exciting. And this is the one that goes with the Be Mine dies. These 2 are a bundle, and you order them together. You can save 10% ordering them separately. And this bundle is still available in the occasions catalog. Okay, so let me show you the things that we're going to use. We are going to use, on page 5 of the occasions catalog, there's the Lovely Flowers dies, and it comes in, you can order it in a bundle with the Forever Lovely stamp set. And we're going to use the Be Mine. Be Mine stitched dies, and you can purchase it in a bundle with the Meant to Be stamp set. And that's on page 6. Then on page, and I'll show you where it is in the listing, but there's the lace embossing folder. You can really see the detail on it right there. And here's the lace on page 11. It's the Lace Dynamic Textured Impressions Embossing folder. And if you look on the opposite page, there's another card using it, but you can see the detail in it better on the other page. And the last item in here is the well-written dies. Now they're on page 27 right at the bottom, and you can get it in a bundle with the Well Said stamp set. But this is all the words that are in that die set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 words. A swirly filigree thing, some leaves, flowers, birds, and other things. And I cut this out of black, put it on a piece of white cardstock, and I keep it handy. So I don't know about you, but when I'm trying to figure out what words I want to use, if I look at this, it's hard for me to figure out what the words are, even if you turn them over. Now when I store mine, I always store them upside down because there's a bigger surface area here to stick onto the magnetic sheet rather than the cutting side. Okay, put those out of the way. So that's all the products from the Occasions catalog that we're going to use. There's a lot of stuff on this card, but that's okay. So the glimmer paper, it's here on page 192, and there it is, Rose, and it's that gorgeous pink color. Okay, what else are we using in here? Oh, the round tab punch. The round tab punch is on page 210. Sorry, circle tab punch. Apparently I have it named wrong. Oh well. So there we go. And the delicate lace edge dies that we're going to use are on page 217 right here at the top. Okay, just let me check and make sure I didn't miss telling you about anything. I've got so many things. Oh, the ribbon. Oh, the ribbon. Oh, metallic edged ribbon. Page 201 of the main catalog. Berry Burst, white with gold on the edge. The Berry Burst has silver. Then you can get white with gold on the edge or white with silver on the edge. And if you get the white and the silver, you can color it any color you want using your Stampin' Blends. Let me get some. And I'll just show you what I mean. So you can use your regular markers as well, but sometimes it takes a long time to dry, and if you use the Stampin' Blends, they're alcohol based, so they dry faster. And I don't know about you, but when I'm making a card, I'm impatient. I don't want to sit there and wait for things to dry. Okay, so oh, my blends are not even here. Oh dear. I took every last one of them out to my studio because I'm having a class today. So I'll just show you with the regular marker because it works with that too. And you can use your re-inkers. See how easy it is to color this ribbon? And when you use the blends, you're not going to get the variation in color. So if you're looking for variation in color, use your regular markers. And if you're looking for a solid color, use your Stampin' Blends. There you go. That's how you can turn this white ribbon into this ribbon. so you don't have to buy both of them. All you have to do is buy the white one and use your marker, and there you go. It'll be a little bit lighter once it dries, but like I said, it takes a while for it to dry. Okay, let's get this stuff out of the way. Okay, the special for today, I'll say it now and I'll say it at the end. If you place a minimum $60 order through my online store at glendamollet.stampingup.net between now and Saturday, March the 30th at 6 o'clock p.m. and use this host code, I will put your name in a draw for the Country Floral embossing folder. This is one of the items that you can get through Celebration with your $60 order. So if you place a $60 order between now and Saturday, Celebration is still working. So you'll be able to order a free Celebration set. Plus, I'll put your name in a draw, and one lucky viewer is going to win this Country Floral Dynamic Embossing Folder. And my apologies, this is only open to Canadians because I cannot cross-border shop or sell. Okay, so here's the card, and I promised to show you the inside. There's what the inside looks like. So let's carry on and get busy with the card. Let's make sure it's in frame here so you can see it. I'll just put it over there so that it's there, but it's out of my way. Okay, so I already did a bunch of die cutting for this card because there's a lot of it. I did this yesterday with my Sunshine Club ladies, and they loved it. It's so beautiful. Okay, get everything organized here. All right, so the pieces we need. Inside piece, 5 1/4 by 4. And then 2 pieces for the outside of 5 1/4 by 4. And this one I've already done one of the edges, but it's still the same size. And then you need a piece of berry burst, a piece of white, and you'll see down here there's a piece of adhesive sheet. That's a little tricky tip for when you're cutting out these well-written dies. If you put the adhesive on the paper first and then cut it on the other side, cut your word out, then you don't have to worry about fiddling with all that adhesive. Then there's a little piece for the sentiment, a piece of the rose glimmer paper. Here's the leaves that I cut out of the mossy meadow, and then a piece of glimmer paper to cut the heart. Okay, so let me show you a couple of things. So in the Be Mine stitched dies, oops, my words are on the back of that. In the Be Mine stitched dies, we're going to use these 2 dies. This one is the gorgeous filigree one that goes on the top, and this one cuts out this. Now it's a 2-piece die cut. It cuts like that. So we're going to be using this one on our card, and I'm going to save this one for a future project. I have lots of those UFOs pieces hanging around. So I'm done with this die. I'm just going to put it over here so I don't lose it. And this one we're going to cut out on here out of white. This one's already done. Then we need to cut out, the love is already done, so there's the die for the love, and I need to cut the wishes. And remember I said there was adhesive on one end here, so that's where I'm going to cut my wishes out of. And then this is going to go here, and then I have one more die because it's really hard to see, but I wanted some filigree stuff in the center. So right down in there underneath the bow and all of that stuff, there is this die. And this comes from the Lovely Flower dies, and it gets cut out of that one like that. This is the die that I used to cut all of these flowers out of. Now it cuts 4 and I'm only using 3 on the front, but you could use the 4th one inside if you wanted, and we might do that. Okay. Oh, let me put the love back on here so I don't lose it. That over there. And I have this all set up. So let me get my magnetic platform. And I saw a cool tip on a YouTube video the other day about your cutting plates. And I've been doing this for a while and I didn't know that apparently not everybody knows. So when you're using a plate, keep one specifically for the bottom and one for the top, which doesn't always happen in my world. They both get well used, but that's okay, because if you do this trick, then you have flat plates all the time. Actually, there's 2 tips. So if you push it down in the middle and there's any kind of a give in there, no matter how small it is, flip your plate over and use it that way so that it's dished like this instead of like this, because that's going to give you better adhesion to the magnets in the magnetic platform, but it also helps to keep your plate unwarped. So I've got them all lined up, and this, let me check just to make sure that this is the edge that, yes, that has the adhesive on it, because I want to make sure I take full advantage of the adhesive. Now I'm not using it on the rest of them because I'm going onto the glimmer paper and I use Tombow for that. So I'm just putting the top cutting plate on there and pull my Big Shot closer, and I'll just run it through my Big Shot slowly. I find a lot of us get into the habit of really winging the Big Shot through, but I don't recommend that. Go slow, give the machine a chance to cut the paper. Now I'm just looking at the back side, and this isn't cut as much as I would like it, so I'm going to try and keep it together, and I'm just going to run that one through again, but these dies are okay. So I'm just going to pop those off, and I'm just going to run this through again, and I'm going to run it through down here at the bottom, because if you run it through on the edge, it has more cutting. It's thicker here and here when you run it through, because that's where all the pressure is on your Big Shot. And I'm running it upside down because you get better cuttage. Is that a word? Well, I guess it is now. You get better cuttage if your cutting edges are facing up. There we are. So I ran that through again, and look, it cut it perfectly. Okay, just put that to the side for now. And I'm just going to get my brush and die, or brush and mat set, and just use the brush to get rid of most of the little pieces in that die. And then it just pops right off of the die. Look at how easy that is when you use your brush. Look, absolutely clean. Okay, so now put that aside. This one, a little trick for you. When you're trying to get cardstock out of a die that has, I call them weak spots, the stem is a weak spot because it's smaller than the rest of it. You see this here? So when you're trying to get it out, if you start at the outer edge of your weak spot and just poke it through a little bit with your paper piercer, and then grab a hold of it and just gently persuade it to come out. There you go. Now there's no chance of ripping that, which isn't really a problem on this card because we're covering up most of it anyways. Okay, so we have this piece, and then this one goes over top of it, and then this one goes here, and see, we're going to cut some of that off anyways. Then we have these, and just let me use my pokey tool to get the little pieces out. So you're going to stick them on here, and it doesn't matter whether you do them underneath or over top of this white thing. Just whatever looks good for you. And just a couple of more little things to pop out. There we go. So those are going to go there. I have the flowers. Where are we going to put them? In there. And one up there. And one down there. And then I still have one left over. Okay. Let me clean my workspace here, because I'm OCD and I just like to do that. Okay, this love, I'm going to put it here because that's for the inside. And then we have the wishes here that I haven't popped out yet, because it didn't cut the plastic on the back of the adhesive sheet. It makes it a little bit difficult to get off of the cardstock. So it just needs a tiny bit of persuasion. It's not hard. And Valerie, if you watch, Valerie B from Port Alberni, if you are watching the video, there's the I for wishes. We had a discussion about this yesterday morning on how people save these little itty bitty teeny weeny things. I don't. My I has no dot. So I'm just getting the pieces out of the wishes, and we'll put it over there. Okay, what else do we have to do? Oh, yes. Okay, so let's finish cutting this piece. So I need this die, and I'm going to line it up. Let me get the magnetic platform here. It's just a lot easier when I'm explaining things to set it right onto the platform, and then it doesn't move away. Okay, I'm just moving this so I don't lose it. Things get attached to the bottom of things, and then it's hard to find. Okay, now I'm just testing that, and see, it's got a bit of give there. I hope you can see that. It's got a bit of give. So I'm just flipping it over. These plates are like a couple of years old, and I use them extensively, and they're still nice and flat. Okay, so I'm just lining it up right up against the edge, and I'm paying attention to how I cut this, where I'm lining these up so that it kind of matches a bit. Okay, now I'm going to move it up, 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 because remember I said it cuts better up at the edges. Put my cutting mat on, and I'm going to slowly run it through the Big Shot, giving the Big Shot time to do its cutting. So you can count while you're doing this. You can sing a funny song, or you can just do like I do and be quiet and enjoy the peace and quiet. Okay, so there it is. And see, it cut it out really good. You have this little piece left over too. Now, wouldn't that make a cute banner on a happy birthday card? Especially if you did it out of colored cardstock, or just take this and use your sponges and color it. Yeah, that was another one of our discussions, along with the little dots from the eyes. We tend to have a lot of really cool discussions when I'm together with my Sunshine Club ladies on Wednesday mornings at 9 o'clock at Echo Center. So if you're over the age of 55, you live in Port Alberni, come and join us. It's a $2.50 drop-in fee. You have to be a member of the Sunshine Club. But once you've paid your membership, then it's only $2.50 drop-in fee to come and make a card with us. So I just used the pad and brush to get all the little bits and pieces out. Now we have one thing left to do. We have to emboss this piece of cardstock with the lace embossing folder. Now you can do a couple of things. You can put this here and have this centered down the front, which is what I did on the other one, the first one I made. This one I think I'm going to do it a little bit different and kind of centered around the other image on the embossing folder, the round swirly things. Now, when you're using embossing folders, don't put your cardstock right up to the end. There's two reasons for that. One is there's always a void up there where there is no embossing, and the other one is if you put it right up in there, you could pop the hinge on your embossing folder. If you do that, put it together with a piece of packing tape. I know. I had to do that in a class one day because it got popped. And I was away and didn't have a spare. So we just put some packing tape on it and it works really well. Okay, so now to cut this out, we don't need the magnetic platform. We need the Big Shot platform. And because my Big Shot is so worn out, I need a shim because I use it a lot. And then you take your embossing folder, and this is a dynamic one, so it only needs the top cutting plate. You don't need both of them. Put this on top, and I always flip this is the top one, and I always flip it as well when I'm using it, just to make sure that it doesn't get that really bad bow in it. And then I run my fingers down the side like this to make sure everything is lined up properly, because if your embossing folder is stuck out like that, that rubs along the edge of your Big Shot. And can you, I'll just take it back out here. Can you see this, how the edge of the embossing folder is all eaten up? That's because it wasn't lined up properly before it went through the Big Shot. Okay, everything is lined up. And I'm going to slowly put it through the Big Shot. One tip for using embossing folders too, well, two tips actually. Number one is always put the hinge end through the Big Shot first. So that's where the Sizzix word is, not where the Stampin' Up word is. And number two, don't ever go one way and then back again. The reason for that is you could pop your embossing folder, because when you run it through this way, if for any reason at all it gets off-centered and doesn't sit there properly together and you run it back, it's like when you fold a piece of cardstock, okay, you've got it this way, but if you offset it at all, it's probably not going to do it now that I want it to. See how I've got it just a tiny bit offset? Okay, come on. Cooperate. Now that I want to do it. Okay, there, I've got it a tiny bit offset. And see how this one is longer than this one? Well, in cardstock, when you do that, it'll just redo your fold. If you do that with your embossing folder, it's going to break your hinge apart completely and it will pop. Just like if you put your cardstock up too far, you're going to pop it. So there's some tips for you today. Okay, so this one you can use on the embossed side or the debossed side. So for this card, I use the embossed side. So this one that I'm making today, I think I'll use the debossed side so that you can see the difference. Now, just for the sake of quickness, I'm just going to use some Tombow. Hopefully it's there. It's going to come out. Just use a bit of Tombow glue. You don't want to use too much of this stuff, because man, oh man, does it make a sticky mess. Okay. Tombow's nice to use if you're trying to line something up evenly too, because you've got a couple of seconds of movability with it. I went it too far on one side, so I'm just gonna slide it. Okay, just gonna slide it over a bit. There we are. Done. Get the glue off my fingers. Now I'm just going to go to the back side and rub it, make sure it gets good adhesion. Now, remember these two pieces of 5 1/4 by 4? This was the one piece, and we cut it down on the edges. And then we still have two more. So one is for the inside. I'm just going to put that to the side. And this one, we're just going to put this on top like this. Now, it's not necessary You could probably just put this right onto here like this. But I kind of like the look of having another layer underneath there. You could also do this layer a different color if you wanted. And I'm going to use more Tombow. I'm also not going to put any glue on the cutout pieces, the edges of this, because I like the effect of having it free floating. So this one, trying to keep my fingers out of the glue, this one goes right up to the top, and then you kind of make sure you're equidistant on both sides, if you can. There we are. That's on there like that. Now this is ready to put onto the card base. Once you get all the pieces cut out for this card, it's not hard to put together. Alright, so now I'm just going to put it onto my card base. And just give the Tombow a couple of seconds to make contact. And there we are. Now we can start building the heart, which is the heart of the card. Kind of cool, eh? Okay, there's all my pieces. So this one is going to go on top of this one. We're going to use a bit of Tombow, just little teeny tiny dots. Now you could also use your pine tip glue pen for this. I just really like Tombow, and I'm going to show you a trick on using it because I've got little dots going in here, and I'm trying to pick out the thicker spots to put the glue on. Just little tiny dots. It's a little time consuming, but that's okay, because I always say the longer you take to make sure your card is perfect, the better the result is going to be. Now, if perfection is not your thing, don't worry about it. It's your card, not mine. I always tell my customers in my classes, I give you the supplies, and what you do with them is completely up to you. Because nobody that you give that card to is going to know that it's different than mine. Okay, so I've done a few dots of Tombow, and I'm just going to put this to the side and let it dry a bit, because this Tombow, this one, the green one, has latex in it, and when it dries clear, but it doesn't always dry, ever. It always remains tacky. So you can use when it's dry, it acts like little tiny glue dots. It's the coolest thing. Okay, so now my green ones, make sure I have the back side up on all of them. I'm going to put a couple of dots of Tombow on there, and I'm only going to glue the bottom. I want the tops, the top ends to be free floating. I don't like everything attached down flat on my cards. Now we also have to put some glue on the back of these little flowers. See, by the time you get these things all Tombowed up, then the big heart's going to be ready to go, and some on here. Now remember, we have to cut some of that off, so I'm just putting adhesive in the middle there. Okay, so there's the heart out of the sparkle glimmer paper, and there's our white filigree heart, and it just goes over top like this. Okay, now this one, I'm going to put it down first, just to fill in some of that space there, and then I'm going to hold it and use my scissors to cut the tail off, so we don't need the tail. There we are. Oops. Got some adhesive on there. Now my card's going to stick. All right, so there we are. Now, can you still see this? See how I'm creating it? Okay, so now we want one of these to go up here, and we want one of these to go there, and the third one is going to go here. Now the bow. Oh, no, we can put the flowers on. That flower is going to go there. This flower is going to go here. And this one is going to hang out up there. There we go. So now this is up on dimensionals on my card front. So I'll just put some of my favorite mini dimensionals on here. And I always put one in the middle so that it doesn't collapse. Probably too many, but better to have too many than not enough. I take the backing off them. So our day today is another gorgeous sunny day in Port Alberni. I can't tell you how blessed we've been with our weather. So we went to Tofino. We were out on the very far west coast of Vancouver Island for it was 10 days the day we left, including the day we left and the day we came back. 10 days. We had 7 solid days of sunshine with no fog, no clouds, nothing. They have never had weather like that. Ever, ever, ever. Man, did we have a good time. Okay, so now the wishes. On the back, there's that, remember we put adhesive sheet back there, so I'm just removing the liner. And you can't save that because, well, you could, but there's no way to use adhesive on it because it's made to not stick to anything. So there's the wishes. We just have our anniversary left to do. But I'm going to show you how to tie a bow. It's quite easy. So this is my bow tire. I use it this way. It's just a scrap piece of wood that my hubby had. Then he drew me 1/4-inch holes, a 1/4 of an inch apart all the way across, and got a 1/4-inch dowel. So I can do bows from this wide to this wide. To be honest, I've never used them this big. I made a bow this size before. But we're going to make this, I call this my number 2 bow because it's the pegs are 2 apart. So I always leave my ribbon on my roll because that way you don't waste as much. And add enough on the end to do your tying. And I hold it. Let me make sure on my video that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I hold it with my left hand, my thumb and my Peter pointer. Then you wrap the ribbon around the back and it goes underneath. Do you see this? This is the one that's still attached to the spool of ribbon and it comes underneath that. Get my fingers back on here. And I didn't leave enough, so I'm just going to pull a little bit more. And then I switch Peter pointer and I use my middle finger. Peter pointer goes here so that I can do up, over, and back out the underside. It's not quite long enough. It's long enough for me to tie a bow, but not long enough to show you. So it goes up and over, and it goes right over top of Peter pointer and comes out underneath everything. And you see how it's underneath everything? And then the direction Peter pointer is pointing is where you want to put your tail. So you just move your finger out and just slip the tail in there. And then you start playing with it, moving it back and forth and tightening the center up like this. Now I do have a photo tutorial on my blog. I don't blog a lot anymore because I've switched to mostly Facebook stuff. but my blog is glendamollet.blogspot.com, and I have in there a tutorial on how to make these bows. So then I use my finger and my nails and make sure it's good and tight in there. And when you start pulling this, this is when you need to decide if you want a bow with their tails this way, like we're going to use on this one, or if you want your tails to be straight out like that. Because when you're tightening it, you need to be pulling the tails in the direction that you want them to be for the bow when it's finished. Then you just slide it off, and look at that. A perfect bow every single time. Now I'm going to use my ribbon-only scissors and just cut the tails as long as I want them to be. See, like this. And there we are. How's that for a perfect bow? Yes, I've tied a few in my career. I usually tie them for my kits in my classes because nobody likes to tie bows but me, apparently. So this is going to sit right on here like this. But I need a glue dot. Mini glue dots. Amazing things. Stick to anything. You could probably use them to put your filigree on, but then you're going to have the sticky showing through the filigree stuff. So that's why I use Tombow for stuff like that. Okay. So when Stampin' Up! Glue dots are a bit different from the ones that you buy anywhere else. Most of the time when you do this, your glue dots are on here. But the Stampin' Up! Ones are always on the center. So I keep a piece of ribbon tied on there so that this doesn't go sproing and end up with glue dots everywhere. This just keeps it all together. And then when I want one, I just fold it over like, here, let me put it there. So I just fold it over like this, hang on to it, and I just pull. And see, the ribbon slides along and keeps your end together. And then take your bow, put it on top of your glue dot, push it down, and then just manipulate the glue dot off and stick it onto your card. There we go. I hope you're not intimidated by bows anymore because they are absolutely gorgeous. There's lots of different ways. There's lots of different ways to use them, or to make them, but that's the way I make them. Okay, so need to do our anniversary now. Now this is the one I told you was curved. So to make it straight, it's quite easy. Sorry, my phone is ringing away. And I'm ignoring it. Whoever it is, I'll call him back. So I'm just getting a piece of paper towel and some hand sanitizer. And it doesn't matter what hand sanitizer you use. I'm going to put a little dot of hand sanitizer on my block. This is how you clean your blocks. All blocks are going to pick up oil from your fingers when you're using them, and the residue from soaps or whatever else you use. So just give it a good clean. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to clean both sides because then I don't have to go back and clean this one again. Okay, and then I'm going to use the same piece of paper towel and just make sure the back of my stamp is nice and clean as well, because you're forcing it to do something it's not naturally geared to do. There. That's not going anywhere. And see, it's straight. Now it's a little bit wonky because that's just the way it is. But it works really well. Okay. Berry Burst ink pad. And I'm going to ink it up. And because it's clear, you can see where you're stamping. Just rub my finger back and forth to get good ink transfer. That out of the way. I'm going to close this for now because we're going to finish this. So this is that round tab or circle tab punch. And we're going to use this part here to finish off the edges of our anniversary sentiment. So don't put it in like this. Ooh, there's a leftover hunk of cardstock in there. So don't put it in like this because you're going to cut punch your words. See if I went in like that. See, I'm going to cut off. So you go in from the top. This sometimes takes a little finagling to get it in there, but it works. Sorry, I just wasn't holding onto it properly. So you put it where you want it, kind of center that. Give it a little punch. Turn it over, do the other side. Center it. And give it a little punch. And there you go. You got a funky flagged end for your sentiment. And it's really easy. Okay, now we need some dimensionals for the back of our sentiment. 1, 2, 3. Now if you missed this live, of course it's always going to be in the video section of my Facebook page, which is in my craft room, Stamping with Glenda. So you'll always be able to find it there, but I also upload them to my YouTube channel, which is Glenda Mollet. Now this one I put crooked. This one I think I'm going to put on there straight. Just get it in there. Make sure it's straight. There we are. And there's the front. Didn't take too long. However, this video is going quite long, so it's a good thing the bonus card that I'm going to do is easy. So now I'm going to do the inside. My apologies. I didn't think this video was going to take quite this long. Now, I'm going to line this up on my grid paper with the 8 as the center so that I can just stamp the center and then on each side. While I got this out, oops, I'll do the envelope as well. And I'm not too worried about centering it properly on the envelope. There we go. Envelope done. Now I just have this stamp to stamp in the center. And you could make it crooked, you could make it straight, doesn't matter. Let me offset it a bit. Get good ink transfer. There we are. Close that and take our love. And when I cut this, I had the adhesive sheet on the back, so all I have to do is remove that and put this in there, because this is an anniversary card. Now I still have this, and if I wanted, I could put it up here. Okay, so let's just stick a little bit of Tombow on that. And we might as well use it, because otherwise, who knows when we'll see it again. Things go missing in my craft room all the time. There we are. Alright. Now, get my Tombow. Oh, before I do that, let's see around the inside. I've used the Berry Burst marker. Man, am I ever going to miss this color when it disappears at the end of May. The 5 in colors. Berry Burst, Fresh Fig, Lemon Lime Twist, Powder Pink, and Tranquil Tide. They're retiring at the end of May. I love them. But then I say that about all our retiring in colors. So if you want to get yours before then, the retiring list comes out somewhere around the 1st of May. And I suggest if you're wanting to get these, or if you've already bought the ink pads and you haven't got the re-inkers, get them before that retiring list comes out, because once that list comes out, things are on a while supplies last only basis. There we are. So there's our card in our envelope. There's the original card and envelope. Oh, I did the envelope different. There you go. See, you don't have to stick to. So there we are. Now, don't forget, place a $60 order before the March the 30th at 6 o'clock p.m. Use my current host code, and your name will go in a draw to win the Country Floral Embossing folder. Okay, so now let me just quickly do this one for you. Get all my stuff out of the way here. So I did this card with a few classes. It's a masking, but It uses Beautiful You and it uses By the Bay. And By the Bay is retiring on Sunday, this Sunday, because it's one of the celebration ones. So I'm just going to quickly show you how to do the masking part of this. So the first thing you want is the lady. And I'm using my Stamparatus. And we're just going to stamp her somewhere. Hang on, I don't want to get ink on my Stamparatus. And she's going to go right there. Now the trick to this is to have a mask. What did I do with the mask? Uh-oh. I lost it and then I found it. Now I've lost it again. I attached it to something so I wouldn't lose it. Probably in here. Nope. Oh, I got black ink all over me too. Pardon me while I just find my mask, because I can't do this without the mask. How can I have lost my mask? Holy moly. Oops. That is just bizarre. I thought I had put it on here so I wouldn't lose it. You know, things happen in my craft room and they go missing and I'll never... Oh, I know where it is. Then I put it in here to show you how I store them. So I just store them right in the stamp case with the stamps. Duh. Okay, so then you put your mask over top of your stamped image like this. And I like using the Stamparatus for this technique because if you don't get enough ink on the first time, you have a chance to do it again. Okay, so now I'm going to ink up my image from By the Bay, which is this seawall image. And then you're just going to stamp it like you normally do. Just pretend this is a really big acrylic block. And lift it up gently. And see, I missed some of it. I did that on purpose because I want to show you how this works the second time. So I'm just adding a little bit more ink. I'm going to put this down. And now we're going to push on the areas where it didn't transfer. And I'm going to push really hard around where she is because that leaves less of a void around her. There, see? Now there's a little bit right there that didn't get pushed enough. There we are. That's better. Now this really looks ugly and stupid, doesn't it? Wait, because you release that and look at that. She's in the forefront and the house is in the background. I'm going to take that off so I don't get ink on my Stamparatus. So there we go. So this is another piece of that foil that I can't stop using. I'm just getting my Big Shot platform and my tufted embossing folder, and this is one of the dynamic ones as well. And it's a little bit too wide to go. Oh, maybe it'll go. So it's going to go on your card this way. So whichever way you want your embossing to go. I'm just going to line it up, try and get it a little bit even all the way around and not crooked. Okay. Slowly run it through my Big Shot. There we go. Isn't that gorgeous? Love Tufted. Tufted is in the main catalog, so it's not going anywhere, at least until the end of May. We haven't got our carryover list yet. Okay, let's put this here so you can see what I am doing. And leaving a little bit blank, or a little bit of a frame on the end. And it's too big, because there's nothing I hate worse when you're doing something from an edge to an edge on a card and having the white card show. Oh, look what I did. Oh my gosh. Good thing we're covering that up. Apparently I have ink all over my fingers. Come on, stick down. Okay, so now this layers onto the black. Oops, I want to miss the edges. Like that. Pop some dimensionals on the back. The big ones would be okay to use on this too, but I just have the minis on my table, so that's what I'm using. They're my friend. Make sure they're all well stuck down. Now there is the foil that we're using is called Lovely Lipstick. It was the one that was available through Celebration. But we also have a Stampin' Blends that's Lovely Lipstick. And that's what I've used to color her. And I'll have to put this one over quite far to cover up that book. So I've used the Lovely Lipstick marker to color her as well. The blend, not the marker, the blend. Forgot to put the birthday wishes before I put the dimensionals on. Okay, apparently I'm rushing. So to open these, remember the new ones? Just push at the top and slide. So let's see if birthday wishes is going to work. If not, I'll have to put it on a piece of separate cardstock and punch it out. But we'll just see if it's going to work. Well, look at that. It worked. Okay, and the inside uses the same stamp that we used on the other one. That corner is not sticking down. I have to fix that. And remember, this is a hamburger-oriented card. And I'm just going to wing it instead of lining it all up nicely. Close this, as that's all the stamping we're going to do. And get some Tombow on there. This is the inside piece. And this one I'm not going to go around the edges, I'm just going to let it be. And we have some artisan pearls. And I'm going to plunk 3 of those on there. This corner is bothering me. I've just got to get some Tombow on it so I can glue it down because it's sticking up. And I don't like things that stick up. Okay, so we're going to put 3 artisan pearls on there as well. Just because bling is always used. I tried to stay away from a lot of bling for the mail cards, but not always. So there we are. There's the card. Just that easy. So I'll just flip this over and cut off this extra little bit here. There we are. Oh, apparently I didn't do the envelope. Oh well. You don't need to see me stamp the envelope. You've seen me stamp envelopes before. There we are. There's the 2 cards. Then when I did this one, I used the Wink of Stella, the clear gel pen, and went over top of her dress and her hat and made her a little blingy, but I haven't colored her yet. So there we are. 2 cards for the price of 1. I hope you enjoyed my stamping with me in my craft room today, and I hope that you will join me again next week, next Thursday, which is April the 4th. At 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time in my craft room, I'll be live doing another card. If you have any questions, email me at gjmollet@shaw.ca. And don't forget my special. Place that order before Saturday night at 6 o'clock and use that. I also have another secret special going on. So if you email me and say, what is your secret special? I will tell you the other special. But it's not fair to say it on here because you have to be Canadian in order to participate in that special, as well as put your name in the draw for the Country Floral embossing folder. Thanks, everyone. It was lovely sharing my craft room with you this morning. Stamping Smiles, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.